Today I want to speak about the wine and the wineskins more than anything else that's been mentioned. One thing I've noticed with this coronavirus is that I get stuck in my ways. I have come to recognize, believe it or not, because I never used to get stuck in my ways at all. Never, ever, ever. It never happened to me in the past. But I recognized when the coronavirus came that I was stuck in my ways, because when everything changed, when we had the lockdown, it was like, oh, now we have to do things differently, you know, and I kind of was accustomed to doing things one way, and then I had to change and look at doing stuff in a new way. So I had to new routine, trying to discover a new way of doing Mass, and it was all a lot of pressure with the change initially, but also a lot of excitement because I was learning quite a lot of new stuff. You know, all this stuff that you have happening here, and all our small groups are now done online. So a whole new way of ministering to the church. So initially there was that resistance, change, but then as the change started, a new life, a new excitement about new ways of being church. And the important thing is, as church, we're not meant to just give up and bury ourselves. We are always supposed to be gushing forth with like a fountain with new life. And then, of course, as the lockdown went on, I got used to the routine, and it became comfortable. I knew what I was doing. I had the small groups kind of worked out, and now we're starting to prepare to come back, and it's like, change again, and because there's all this work to do, all this extra stuff. But actually, we're now looking to see, okay, how can we open up, and how can we do things better than we did beforehand? What lessons can we learn from this that we can take forward to, as a church, as a parish, in our daily parish life? So how can we continue to gush forth in new life in this new circumstance? Jesus speaks about the new wine and the old wine, new wineskins, old wineskins. So let's have a think about that. Why new wineskins for new wine? New wine is still fermenting, okay? It's still bubbling up, and old wineskins are dried. They're no longer flexible. You know, they can't change. Jesus comes and he brings us new wine. The Holy Spirit is the new wine. In the Old Testament text with Amos has been prophesying against the people of Israel, you know, about their destruction, and they experienced that destruction. But here, in the midst of that, we have the Lord, through Amos, promising new life. Not death and destruction and everything coming to a complete halt. And this new life isn't just things will start growing again, but actually it's things will start growing again. I have a plan for you, the Lord has, and it's not just going to be normal growth. It is going to be super abundance. So just in case you missed what he was saying, he says, the days are coming now, and the days are here, when the harvest will follow directly after plowing. You plow, you look back, and it's already time for harvest. You got a harvest, you plow, and it's harvest again. We would have maybe one harvest a year, and he's talking about who knows how many harvests over and over again. An abundance of new life gushing forth. The treading of the grapes soon after the sowings. The mountains will run with new wine. This is what we've just heard. The hills flow with it. He's talking about restoring the fortunes of Israel and him planting them, never to be uprooted again. So this idea, this image that the Lord has of just sheer abundance gushing forth. And our faith, this new covenant relationship we had with the Father in Jesus Christ, is meant to be something that is life-giving, always new, always bringing forth new growth, new life. not only in us and in the church. We're not supposed to be static, right? Static things are dead. And us as church, we're not meant to be static. We're not meant to die. Jesus has come to bring life in its fullness. It's Our Lady who has given us that life. She is the fountain of salvation, because through her comes the fountain of living water, Jesus Christ himself. He is the rock who pours forth water in the desert for his people. He's the one whose side is pierced, which gush forth that fountain of living water, that river which flows out, bringing new life, causing trees to grow that bring forth fruit 12 times a year, fruit with leaves that are healing in them. This is the image that the Lord has for you and I as church. So, as much as I like things to be kind of steady and static, that at the end leads to death. I'm not talking about the teachings of the church changing. I'm talking about us changing and the way we do things to engage people changing. But it always starts here. And with change comes new life. If we drink from it, if we desire to experience that, and the Lord desires to give you and I that new life. We are supposed to be new wine that is still fermenting, continuing to ferment, so that if we're putting this in a constraint of old wine, yes, it will burst, because the old wine does not want to change. And you and I belong to a church which is new wine, a God who is always new, always bringing forth new things, new fruits. And he desires that you and I are part of that. With this change that's happening now, I'm now finding it exciting. Yeah, there's more work to do, there's more stuff to do, but boy, what can we do? That's my question. What can we do? How can we engage people? How can we open up this place and so that the physical church opens up, but also us as church opens up to those outside so that they can come in? What are we going to do, and how are you going to be part of that?